Hello, I am Landon Cross, and today I have Moussa Ibrahim with us. He is from Old National. Moussa, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you got into your job in your career field?
Yeah. Hi. Landon, good to see you. Always great to be there in Winchester. I had got into my job in a really unique way, actually. I was a finance student at the University of Southern Indiana, and I had enrolled in a grant program where basically you meet with a financial success mentor, someone to teach you about budgeting. And if you met with them 3 times, you would have your tuition paid for that semester. So I got into that program. After I qualified for the grant scholarship, I went ahead and just kept meeting with the team, and they ended up hiring me. So I was one of the financial coaches. So I did that for about a year and a half. And one thing led to another, and they said, "Hey, you want to do like workshops around the campus and whatnot." So I did that in Evansville. We became somewhat known for it there on campus, and there was a bank in town called Old National, and they had recruited me from then on.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that. So I just want to know, like, do you listen to any podcasts? And if you do, which ones and why? And how did you get into listening to?
Yeah. So I do listen to podcasts. A podcast that I probably listen to a decent amount is the Andrew Huberman podcast. He is a Harvard um, biology teacher, if I'm correct. But he talks a lot about health, right? Just the mechanics of health,
Mm-hmm.
biology, anatomy, nutrition. So I've been listening to him because I feel that I learned so much about the human body that I wouldn't learn elsewhere, and he does it in a really entertaining way. And his podcasts are pretty long, like a good 2 hours.
Ooh,
So I feel that I come out learning so much, and it's really helps me better my diet, better my exercise, but most importantly, my sleep.
that's good. That's good. So why did you want to associate with P-Tech, and what really made you feel a connection that you thought it would be a good idea?
Well, that's a great question. I so intrinsically, I just love education. I love all things education, which is ironic because I was never really like a I my whole school career. I wasn't always a top performer, and really, I was only just a top performer for a couple of years in middle school. But I just love education. I love investing in youth. I love educators, and quite frankly, I mean, we had a really cool opportunity to bring something new that Indiana wasn't doing for high schools. And we had an opportunity to do that, which is bringing financial education to high schools. We were doing that before it came, you know, like like mandatory to graduate, and
Mm,
who wouldn't want to do that? So I love education, youth, teachers, and we just had a really cool opportunity to do something innovative and fast forward.
yeah, yeah. So you said you weren't like always the top performer, so that makes me wonder, like, what was high school kind of like for you?
Oh man, I went to 3 different high schools,
Oh,
and I moved around a lot. I moved around a lot for family, and high school was it was a little tough.
I get
I'm
that. I
gonna
get
say
that.
that. I was probably right in the middle of my anxiety phase and really growing into who I am. I had a bunch of acne, so that didn't help.
Gotta love the
but
acne.
yeah, it was, and I didn't play any sports, right? I didn't play any sports. I didn't have a car. Geez, I didn't even have a job really in high school till later on. So high school was challenging, but it was challenging from a social perspective. But it also helped me. One thing I learned was like developing close friends, and I would say that by the time I had finished high school, I developed some really good close friends and how to do life with people who care about you a little more than everybody else, and you learning to care about them a little more than everybody else. So it was hard, but I learned so many different lessons, like just developing really good friendships. And I actually still have probably two of those friendships to this day.
Yeah, that's good. Friends are really important aspect of life, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
if you get that good strong connection, then I feel like it can go far.
I
Um,
totally agree.
yeah. So does that mean like do you think P-Tech would help you in high school if you had the opportunity to be in it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we didn't have anything like it, right? Like,
Yeah.
another cool thing about P-Tech is you've got a cohort of students who are going through, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's kind of like college. Because, one cool thing about college is you've got these different classes, or let's say you're in the engineering school, part of a certain liberal arts engineering school, business school, you've got a cohort of students that are going through like a rigorous curriculum, and you're doing it together. And the cool thing, I think it's a little similar. The cool thing that you guys have in common with college is that amongst the thousands of students or the hundreds of students that your school has, there's a group of you guys that are on a different path than everybody else. And you guys have a shared experience, shared values, and shared goals. So it would have definitely helped me. And also, I think the P-Tech program, you just have closer, from what I'm picking up, you just have um, a closer bond with your teachers, and they have a better insight on your learning, on your the way you learn. And I think that's really, really important for educators to have and students to receive.
Yeah. And I feel like, now that I'm in P-Tech, I feel like I do have a closer relationship with my teachers, and I feel like I'm not afraid to ask them questions. So I just feel like that makes the bond a little closer, knowing them longer.
That's great to hear. Well, you've got a great high school experience, so props to that.
So you said high school was challenging for you. So have you ever tried something and failed at it that then you tried it again and then it worked out?
Yeah, about once a week I fail at something. But gosh, I've tried. There's so many things that I've tried in high school. Really, just my young adult life. So many things that I tried. Right. I've got this little funny thing that I tell people that I was once invited to try out for the high school football team. I actually got invited, and I'm glad I didn't show up because I would not have. I would not have made it.
Oh my god.
But things like that, I've tried. Yeah, I've tried being somebody that I am not, and that's failed. I've tried being interested in things that I just really don't care about. I tried being interested in things that was cool at the time that I didn't really care about, and I failed at that. And yeah, there's so many different things. Maybe, yeah, maybe I'll think of some as we go on throughout the podcast.
Yeah. So, um, that leads me to my next question. So, how did you learn from mistakes? Like, if you made a
Mm,
mistake, how would you learn from that and take that as an opportunity to get better about
yeah,
yourself?
yeah, that's a neat question. Mistakes. They're such a gift if you view it this way. And the way that I view it, the way that I've grown to view it over the past, you know, 26 years of my life. I gave my age away. There you go. Um, I is You really have to break it down and see what learned outcome. Like what what was the what were some things that you could have done well that would have given you a better outcome? Um, and hone that in and store that in your mind and understand that, gosh, I mean, you're breathing another day and you have another chance, right? Like if you wake up in the morning, like that is like sometimes you can be a little ignorant, with how much of a blessing that is.
Yeah.
Um, the big thing about mistakes, another thing that with mistakes that I mean, hyper my other thing about is that you can't you can't dwell on the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I think you should think about the bad stuff. You should process the bad stuff. You should understand it so you can understand it, why you're in the consequences that you're in if it causes you consequences. But you can't like sit, in the sadness. Just feel it, process it. And there's always a time to move on. And I think that if you've gone through a mistake and you do an audit of your life and you're like, hold on a second. I actually haven't moved on from this mistake or moved on from that season, then there's probably something you're doing wrong. You didn't process it well. I really think all mistakes, um, you can you can come out better. You can come out better. You can move on.
And I feel like so many people just take that mistake as like a bad thing, and they're always frustrated about it. But I mean, it is frustrating. You make a mistake, but there's always something to learn from it,
Yeah.
and
Yes. There's always something to learn.
there's always a way to get over it. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so I know you like to cook. So can you explain a little bit about how you got into cooking and why you like it so much?
Wow, wow, you guys have really done the research, but you know me for quite some
I
time,
have
so
about
so I guess I can say you guys are great friends. I actually got into cooking, so I think I've told you guys this over the years. I was raised in Africa from like age 9 to 15, and my mom would cook. Um, my mom would cook, and she would just involve me, right? Like, hey, can you help me cut these ingredients? Can you help me peel these onions and this, that? And so I was exposed to the cooking process, and I loved eating food, right? I think everybody loves food. I would say right when I was like a sort of like a early teen, like 14, 15, my buddies and I would try barbecue for the first time. We would get, cut some meats and make barbecue and just, like no matter how bad it turned out, we would eat it. And right when I hit college, I entered into a season of my life called the Hunger Games. In its most literal sense, I was literally hungry. I had two options. I either eat cooked food that was healthy for me or eat ramen. So I started to experiment. I just started getting ingredients together and I just started cooking from the ground up, just figuring stuff out. I have the fire department, I guess like the campus police that turn out the fires, the fire alarms. Like they know me on a first name basis. I was just persistent. I love cooking. Gosh, by the time I got done with school, I became pretty decent at cooking, fairly decent at cooking, and I was able to start hosting large gatherings and stuff, and even have a cooking page that I post on frequently.
And do you feel like cooking helps with so like if you're ever stressed, do you feel like cooking helps with that? Like do
It
you think
does. It does. It helps me to, the way I approach cooking is I literally have to think about one thing. Like that's it. It's the dish, right? And when I want the dish to be done and how I want it to be
mm,
done. So I could I could make, let's say, like a Dutch oven's worth of um, marinara sauce and just work on that for 3 hours. And what that does is it takes my mind off all the other day to day obligations that I have maybe the next day or at that time. And it gives me the space to think about one particular thing, and that's a big stress reliever for me.
I do have one final question. So you know all of us in P-Tech. So and you know how hard we work. So would you if you were looking to hire somebody, would you lean more toward the person that you don't really know, or more so the person that you know is going to want to show up for that job and want to work and want to just help out in any way they can?
Yeah, the latter. If I if I was going to hire someone, it would definitely be the person that I know is going to show up, right? Is going to show up. And as a young professional, right? Like when you start your career and you're learning you're learning a new job, which is a new skill in some cases. Um, you get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
You get your butt kicked, right? Like when I first started, like my job and finishing coaching at the university, I every day I left felt like a failure because I messed something up. I didn't understand something, and my peers were all experienced. And I think one thing that I look for is the person that shows up the next day, the person that keeps on coming, the person that can be coached, the person that can can just show up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like half. I really think that's like half of working
Yeah.
and being able to take coaching. That's really it.
All right, so I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, so I really appreciate your time to, get on this Zoom and be able to interview with us.
Hey, thanks so much, Landon. You guys have a wonderful time.
Hey, you too.
Congratulations on this awesome podcast that you have.
Thank you. And congratulations on all your accomplishments as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Musa.
Thank you. Is it still recording?